find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
So I was on the Stoner Chicks live the other day. The Stoner Chicks do lives, I wouldn't say daily, but pretty regularly. If you're looking for someone to just like chill with, Grace usually conducts them. She's one of the Stoner Chicks and one of our college friends and, you know, bosom buddies.
Yeah. Our Galentine.
Our Galentine, yes.
And for those not in the know, Stoner Chicks podcast is where you would want to find them on all the handles, and they are a very cool weed podcast.
Yeah,
continue.
A great TikTok follow. But I was on the live talking about the podcast, their podcast, and then our podcast.
Yeah.
Doing a little bit of promotion, always be plugging.
You always have to be.
When you get an opportunity, and we have, you know, stoners is a large part of our demographic.
I think so.
I hope so. But what I hadn't thought about is that someone was in the chat was like, is your podcast gory? And my knee-jerk reaction was no. And Grace was like, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
it could be
kind of
disgusting. It's graphic. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. We need some. We not all of our episodes are light. Okay, there is some gore in our death-themed podcast.
Yeah. My brain then made that connection.
I bring a lot of gore to the podcast. Maybe not as much as you, or maybe it feels less traumatic because it happened thousands of years ago.
Maybe. I also tend to bring the like decomposition yuck to the table.
Yeah, that's true.
When talking about my like funeral home crimes, not my funeral home crimes, but
Sophie Schwartz, return to the garbage can funeral homes is at it again.
Oh my God. Hey,
sorry, that's not
eco
funny.
Death.
You can cut that if it's, oh my God. I have COVID. Let me live.
In olden days, a glimpse of FEMA was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
You know what? My funeral home crimes have yet to be committed, so I don't know how bad they'll be.
Well, luckily, I think in Washington and Oregon, there are stricter rules than in Colorado. So
yeah,
unless you're planning on moving to Colorado, you're going to have some trouble with it.
Oh my God. You go to Colorado, you get away with anything.
Apparently.
In the funeral home industry, yeah.
Apparently, yeah. It's scary.
It is scary. Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I'm Sophie Crimes Schwartz.
And I'm Katelyn Wild Wild West Bitch Hart. And this is the podcast where we talk about bones. Sometimes bones in a gory way, sometimes in a not gory way. I believe this episode will be not gory for those who are keeping score.
Keeping score.
Sure.
We are back from a two-parter episode with breaking news from the cemetery jail in Mississippi, and then we talked about the Green River Killer. This will be a set of much lighter topics.
We needed to decompress after what happened. We also had a little bit of a break because your girl did get sick, and it turns out it was round 2 of COVID for me.
Oh,
luckily, I'm just about done with it, symptom-wise. And, you know, thank goodness for vaccines, everybody.
Yeah, thank goodness for vaccines. And thank goodness for rest and personal time.
Exactly. And I have the nifty ability this time around to work from home. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah. I did have to take a couple days off because I was just like, it was all in my head this time. Last time it was all like a sore throat, and this time it was like a headache and just like fatigue.
It's probably slightly different COVID.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
They're not naming the variants anymore.
Right, it's just like...
What's up with that?
It's just a bunch of letters and numbers now. Aren't we all?
Lame. They should name them like they name hurricanes.
Right,
like
alphabetically.
Alphabetically and after people.
I love it.
I'm so glad that you are feeling better and that you wanted to do some podcasting.
Yeah. Almost always I want to do some podcasting, but this was a time I didn't want to.
Yeah, that is incredibly understandable. But before we hop in, the first dinosaur to be named was the Megalosaurus, and it was discovered in 1824.
That's a while ago. I'm surprised.
I know, right? We've been digging up dinos for a while.
I wonder what they thought when they dug that up. Just like, what in the absolute fuck is this giant bone?
Yeah, I wonder when we first started digging up dinosaurs. That would be something to look into.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Breaking news, Katelyn.
Okay.
The Rosetta Stone has been stolen.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Has it really?
Digitally.
Oh. I was like, I haven't seen any breaking news alerts about this.
No, today we're going to be talking about a form of repatriation for artifacts using digital heistery.
Okay, I like it.
This one is extremely fun, and it is also a bit in honor of Black History Month. It is February.
Hell yeah.
And this centers all about Black history. So my sources for this subject are Looty.art, Rutgers, a second article, and The New Yorker.
Classic
New Yorker. Great toilet reading, this one. I always see New Yorkers in people's bathrooms, and my parents had the New Yorker growing up, and it was always in the bathroom.
Yeah, when I picture the New Yorker, it's next to a toilet, hands down, every time.
Right. Yet a pinnacle of journalism.
Yeah, both.
You know what? Two things can be true at the same time. So, something we've talked about on this podcast a lot is the practice of museums acquiring artifacts in not so legal or ethical ways.
Boo! That's what I say to that.
Yeah. And, you know, this has pretty much been a thing as long as museums have been a thing. And the people most guilty of this are the British and Europeans in general.
White people.
White people, specifically. White people from all over the world have stolen artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
America does not dodge this bullet by any means. But there is a way that people are taking this into their own hands. Because as we've talked about in a lot of times, these museums which acquired items sometimes centuries ago don't want to let go of them.
Right.
Something like, say, the Rosetta Stone is the British Museum's most viewed artifact. They're not just going to give it back to Egypt.
It's their big moneymaker.
It is. And we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get to the actual heist. But these artifacts are very much wanted home by the people whom they belong to. This is countries all over the world that have been colonized, that have had their artifacts stolen in war, that have had their artifacts just straight up stolen from holy places. We can cite this 1,000 times on the podcast because it's how a lot of the time these artifacts make it into these major museums. And so there's a man named Chidi Nwambi who is the founder of a collective called Looty, Looty. And he is a visionary designer, he is an artist, and he is incredibly talented with technology, computers, and coding.
Okay.
And he has a passion for history. He is a Black man, and he has a passion for Black history and for returning history to its rightful home.
Sure,
which
yeah.
We
Hell
can
yeah.
agree. Yeah, which is a passion of ours.
Of course.
what Chidi and his collective members of Looty want to do and are what they do is create 3D renderings of these artifacts and then sell them as NFTs with 20% of the profit going to grants for young African artists.
Oh, an NFT for good.
An NFT for good.
Interesting.
Which is something I have not heard yet.
No, me neither. I was like, an NFT? Okay.
This is interesting to me because it's like, yeah, as you're saying, an NFT for good. NFTs, as we know, through their creation and maintenance, use a lot of power and are really bad for the environment, basically. So it's interesting to use this vehicle for something like this. I think that this is probably one of the most ethical uses of NFTs that could be possible, I guess.
Right. Definitely. Seems like it.
Yeah. Their whole mission is to use a platform like the blockchain to create these 3D renderings that then can actually be placed in, I can't believe I'm saying this, that can like be placed in what we might call the metaverse or like a virtual space that can be accessed, augmented reality, one might say, like where if you're standing where, say, an artifact used to be, and you could take out your phone, open an app, and view the artifact where it was through this project.
That's cool.
That's sick as fuck, right?
That's really awesome. I can't say that I knew exactly what an NFT was, but I just knew that it was like not great in general is what I've noticed. But this sounds awesome.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of the most, I think, ethical uses of a technology that is climate killing. But I would say that for this project, I would look at this project as a drop in the bucket against big NFT, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
yeah.
This is not Logan Paul selling you Dink Doink coin, like, you know?
Sure.
Or whatever it is. I don't pretend to be any sort of expert in the NFT cryptocurrency world, but I do consider myself an enthusiast of the repatriation of artifacts, which is at the center of this, because this kind of technology could be used to bring home so many artifacts that have been lost, like I said, for centuries from their rightful homes. And like I said, the U.S. is definitely not innocent in this whole artifact repatriation issue. In February of 2023, the U.S. announced that it was actually going to be returning 77 Yemeni artifacts.
Oh.
But they did not say when.
Oh. That's lame.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're going to get to it at some point.
They are having a civil war.
Oh, okay.
At the moment.
All right.
So the Smithsonian is, citing that in why they are not wanting to deliver the artifacts right now.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would love for them to revisit that in the future and see how willing they are then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it feels like, sometimes it's like, just give them back. Like, it's a guise of protecting them. And museums are incredibly vulnerable to looting during civil wars. So it's like, it is good to keep them safe. But it's like, after all the hemming and hawing of museums around the world over this issue, it doesn't look great.
No, definitely not.
And this feet dragging over the Yemeni artifacts is something that caught Chidi's attention, our founder of Looty. And he was like, you know what? I think that these guys are moving too slow. Everyone around the world is moving too slow on this. We're never going to get them back physically.
Fair.
So him and his buddy, Yeah. They were like, you know what? Fuck it. So they suited up in hockey masks and they actually snuck into the British Museum basement.
Oh my God.
And they took digital scans of the Benin bronzes. And that was the first digital heist done by the Looty Collective. Now you're saying, Sophie. Yeah. No, say what you're going to say.
I'm appalled. And like, is there a crime here? I mean, they're like breaking in, but they're not taking anything. So,
We'll talk a little bit more about the legality of these quote unquote heists in a moment.
Okay.
But I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
These artifacts that they were scanning, that they were making these digital NFT copies of the Benin bronzes, they're little bronze statues that were made in the Kingdom of Benin, which was a major city-state in West Africa in the medieval period. And these are very crucial statues to the culture because through them we can see kind of a record of the different royals, what was going on in society, what they wore, what was going on with their neighboring states, you know, what was their society like. These are foundational pieces to West African culture and to understanding African history. And they're in the British Museum.
And of course, I went to the British Museum and I was like in awe of all of it. But then when I look back on it and I'm like, I'm so disappointed because it's all stolen.
Exactly. And these are no different. And I have been to the British Museum as well. And they have a large Egyptian section. And I was, enamored, in love. For a history lover, there's nothing like it. But like Katelyn said, now when I think back on it, I was like, stolen, looted, stolen, somebody's body.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. And like I was saying, these Benin bronzes, the story is the same. They were stolen in 1897. When British forces sacked the Benin Kingdom, which was still going on from the medieval period into the 1800s. And their royal palace was burned and their leader exiled and all of their stuff stolen, all their crucial artifacts stolen and either personally gifted to British officers or auctioned off in London. Historians that estimate that almost 90% of Africa's physical, cultural heritage through artifacts is in Europe.
That's insane. And it just doesn't. I mean, what is the holdup? It's just money.
They don't want to give them back.
It's just that's a lot. That's a high number.
Yeah, it's almost all of it.
What?
Right? And that's an estimation done by the French. And they are one of the biggest holders of African artifacts.
Oh my God.
They're like, yes, it is us. We are the problem.
It's me. Hi, I'm France.
I need to give the stuff back. So these Benin bronzes, Chidi was able to scan a few of them and make them into NFTs and then sell them for the profit of African artists. And so in this way, he feels like he can repatriate and use these artifacts to advance African culture through creating more art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's remarkable.
I love it.
I am curious, what is stopping you from scanning the artifacts, during business hours, during the day? Would security stop you? They would.
Well,
you're giving me a look.
I'm giving you a look because next on the hit parade is the Rosetta Stone.
Oh,
and they are going to do that heist in broad daylight.
Okay.
They're going to do it during business hours.
Yeah.
So, we all know and love the Rosetta Stone. It was how we were able to figure out hieroglyphics using the 3 different versions of a decree written in like 196 BC. And it was found in Egypt in July of 1799 by a French officer during Napoleonic campaign in Egypt. And they were like, yep, we're French and we'll take it. And
That's
then
ours.
the British, and then the British were like, nah, we defeat you, France. And they take the Rosetta Stone to London in 1801. And since 1802, it has been in the British Museum. So, like I was saying before, there are so many petitions by both Egyptian archaeologists and even, citizens creating independent petitions that are signed by thousands and thousands of people wanting the Rosetta Stone back. People are very vocal about wanting the Rosetta Stone back.
Yeah.
It was stolen pretty much twice. Give it back. It's time.
Well, it's funny, like, people are like, oh, it was so long ago. Like, aren't you over it? Like, sorry, it was in Egypt for way longer, if you think about
thousands
it.
and thousands of years.
All right, you just...
You've had it for 300-ish.
It just... Give it back, guys. Hashtag give it back.
Yeah, give it back. And so Looty set their eyes on the Rosetta Stone. They're like, we see the people want it. We want to give it to the people. By the way, Looty gets its name from a Pekingese dog that French soldiers stole from the Summer Palace near Beijing in 1860 and gave to Queen Victoria, and she named it Looty.
Okay, cool. I like it.
So that's what they named their collective after, a stolen dog. Queen Victoria's a stolen dog.
Great.
Imagine you're in your summer palace and some fuck steals your dog.
That's sad. I would be upset.
Yeah. For the Rosetta Stone heist, they're going in broad daylight. They are bringing an Egyptologist, Monica Hanna, who has actually authored several of these petitions to get the Rosetta Stone back. She's like, I'm in it for real now.
Well, this seems like the least they could do. It's not,
right?
They're not even like saying we're going to take this. They just want to take scans of it, like pictures of it.
And in fact, according to the museum's visitor's guide, they can.
Hell yeah.
It's legal. They're not doing anything illegal. This is not a crime.
Love it.
I know. It's fantastic. And they are, even when they're in the museum scanning the stone, they'd come dressed in let me send it to you real quick.
When did this happen? Or has it yet to happen?
Oh, no, it happened. It was last year.
Oh, okay.
This is such a great picture. This is an image of one of them standing in front of the Rosetta Stone during the heist.
Jesus. Kind of scary, but I love it. I see. So yeah, okay. This is cool.
So he's wearing a hockey mask with kind of almost reminiscent of like a designer, almost Burberry type plaid on it, and then all black otherwise. And that's kind of the uniform that they wore. Hannah, the Egyptologist, declined the mask. She was like, I'll just wear a regular COVID mask.
Sure. Yeah. Fine.
But I think it's part of the performance, right? Because this is a statement from start to finish. Like going in there and scanning it in broad daylight. Like I was about to tell you, security guards came up to them and asked them, like, hey, what are you guys doing?
Sure.
And they were like, we're taking 3D scans of the Rosetta Stone. And they were like, okay.
Okay. Good.
Go for it.
Well, I'm glad it didn't there wasn't like, you can't do that.
I know. Wouldn't that have just been
That would have,
fucking...
I mean, yeah, they're already pissing me off, but that is a good on that.
Yeah. Also a post-heist picture for you.
I love it. I love how they're just like, it looks like they're both just casually looking at the camera like, what?
What? We just digitally scanned the Rosetta Stone to bring it back to its people.
No, this is great.
It's fantastic. And so kind of the end goal of the scanning of the Rosetta Stone is to create the NFT of it and also to create a model of it in augmented reality. So when you go to Egypt, you can actually view the Rosetta Stone where it was.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's the next best thing, I guess.
Yeah. And, it's what can be done now.
Immediately.
And I think it's a really important step to showing these museums and these institutes that have been holding on to these artifacts for so long that they matter, that they're really important to people, and that, like, you can't just hold on to these things because people are not going to forget, and people are determined to preserve their history their way.
Right. Yeah. In their country.
Yeah, it's not for a British historian to decide what happens to an Egyptian artifact.
Well said.
Thank you.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. Well, while you decide what artifact you would like to take back and from what institution, I think it's time to listen to an ad from our friends at Podmoth.
Are you tired of this reality? Us too. How about once a week you take a break and visit a different reality? In Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex, we bring you a comedy podcast full of ghosts, werewolves, gentle vampires, and Frankenstein monstrosities made of 72 people stitched together. And somehow, that's not even the strange stuff. A proud member of the Podmoth Network. Every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts. There's nothing wrong with your audio. I've been a ghost this whole time. Shyamalan twist.
I got a good one.
Ooh.
What
is it?
I want every dead body in a museum that is outside of its native land to be returned to its native land. How about that?
That's so good.
That's a big one.
That's so good.
Thanks.
I want that.
Yeah.
I want all the bodies returned.
Yep.
Also, return that pillar to Greece that you have, British Museum.
Oh,
where
yeah,
they have
for
the display with all the pillars
That's
and
right.
one of them is missing.
That's right. Yeah. That's bullshit.
Fucking Brits have it.
Yeah.
It's just like, give it back. They made a petty display about it. They're literally like, this is the spot where we would have a pillar if we had one.
Right. God.
Caitlin,
There's no segue out of this.
I was going to say, where are we going today? Where are you taking us?
Somewhere else, somewhere way, way back. I just found it's still got some true crime in it, of course, because it's me. But this is just a little lighter. We're going to go back to the Wild, Wild West.
Oh, one of our favorites.
Yeah. The late 1800s. So my sources for today were allthat'sinteresting.com, history.com, and cowboysandidians.com.
Oh, no.
I know. A little problematic there. Maybe time to change that name.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a helpful article, though. I'm sorry. So today we're going to talk about a character in the Wild West American frontier who was, quote, a U.S. Army scout turned private agent turned hitman.
Okay.
Intrigued?
I'm liking the resume so far.
To continue, so this guy is named Tom Horn. Indeed, Horn was notorious for telling tales, making it difficult to discern how much of his story was true and how much he made up.
Oh, Horn. Tom, you silly guy.
God damn it, Tom.
You pathological liar.
Yeah, the theme of this story, and this is a trigger warning, he is a bit of an alcoholic, and he has a little bit of trouble when he drinks. He tells stories, and so, there's a lot that we'll get into it, but there's a lot that, like, he kind of was there for it, but he wasn't there for it in the way that he said he was,
For sure.
So he was born in southern Missouri in 1860. He did not have a good childhood. Apparently, his father was physically abusive, and he ran away when he was 14. He journeyed west from Missouri and joined the army as a scout when he was 16. So he ran away when he was 14 and he joins the army when he's 16. And I guess he had some skills with like languages. So he was an interpreter, and he was apparently part of the unit responsible for the surrender of Geronimo, the Apache leader during the 19th century Apache Wars.
And this is when he was a teen?
Well, so he says he was involved in all this, but he probably was like an interpreter for some of it. Like he probably didn't make any decisions or anything. But he was there, but yeah, he probably might have helped, like, I guess. So he keeps moving west. So he starts in Missouri, and he just he is in the army for a few years, and then he kind of takes odd jobs. He actually, during this time, is a ranch hand and competes in rodeo competitions.
Ooh.
Apparently, he settled in Arizona for a little while, and he purchased a ranch there. Soon after he got the ranch, cattle thieves stole all of his, like, stock in the middle of the night. He lost all his money, and then he was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into law enforcement.
A very logical next step here.
I guess, yeah. You risk it all in Arizona. It gets taken from you. I'm going to be a cop now, I guess.
The classic trajectory.
The classic trajectory. Actually, what ended up happening was he worked briefly as a deputy sheriff, and then he was recruited by the Pinkerton National Detective Agency.
Oh.
Which I think we've taught, maybe has come up before a little bit, but I, have a little bit about the Pinkerton Agency because I needed a refresher.
Mm-hmm.
Pinkerton Agency was founded 1850. It's a private detective and security agency, and its initial reason for existence is to protect railroads from train robberies. So people, I guess, wanted to get whatever was on the train for themselves. And the Pinkertons were the first people, security guards for the trains. So they had their first building in Chicago that had there was a logo of a black and white eye and the motto, "We never sleep." And I guess this is where the term private eye comes from, because eyes and Pinkertons are related in their logo.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know this either. So the FBI is founded in 1908. So before that happens, government entities would hire private companies to do things that we think of the FBI, Secret Service, CIA doing now, things that are federal in general, you know what I mean? So private companies are doing that before the FBI is a thing.
This is a slight tangent, but have you seen that movie Killers of the Flower Moon?
Not yet. I've heard it's good. I want to see it.
It's fucking fantastic. Okay. It's pretty long, but it does a bit cover early FBI investigation. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's it's
Spot
a true
on.
crime story, by the way. It's a murders.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's about.
Interesting. I think the length is what was keeping me away, but I should watch it.
You got to go for it, and then we got to talk about it because it's very good.
Okay. So the Pinkertons were very successful in the later part of the 19th century. They were doing things like trying to catch outlaws, Jesse James, the Reno brothers, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know, just to name a few, name dropping. And this is interesting. By the 1870s, the Pinkertons had the world's largest collection of mugshots and a criminal database. So they were that's something that I feel is very early for a database to be thinking about that.
Yeah, because mugshots were not mandatory until way more recently than you'd think.
Yeah. So that's all I got. That's the Pinkerton Agency in a nutshell. So we're up to 1890, and our guy, not really our guy, but the guy in the story, Tom Horn. Tom Horn signs on with
We don't own him.
No, I don't claim him. Tom signs on with the Pinkerton Agency, and he's going to handle their investigations in the Rocky Mountain area.
Okay. That sounds hard.
So basically, he's going to be tracking down... He's a bounty hunter. He's going to be tracking down outlaws And so during this time, this is surprising to me. I mean, corruption is never super surprising to me, but so, quote, rumors persisted that detectives, like Pinkerton detectives, secretly worked on both sides of the same case. They would kidnap witnesses, bribe juries, and commonly use violence to break strikes and coerce confessions.
Yeah, I've also heard that the Pinkertons were hired quite frequently to track down runaway enslaved people.
They're they're glorified bounty hunters eventually, I think. That's what we're getting at here. So Tom denies ever killing anybody when he was under the Pinkertons.
Sure.
But he does leave in 1894. And in the same year, he's hired on literally as basically a hitman by the Wyoming Cattlemen's Association. Now, Sophie, you might be asking, why does a cattlemen's association need a hitman?
I was wondering that.
So, I guess, historically, Wyoming cattlemen had been fighting against a group of small farmers, sheep ranchers, and this says rustlers, which I love the word rustlers.
Rustlers?
I know, I hadn't really heard that. That's a good word.
Cattle rustlers? Yeah, people that steal cows.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I thought it was just people who are rustling around, but I guess not.
Oh my God.
I wish that was it.
No, but I wish.
Okay.
It's people that are always in the fucking bushes. I just hate
They're
it.
just
It's not
rustling
illegal,
around
but
constantly.
they're just weird. Yeah. I don't like them. Eyes on me.
So, I guess they're fighting over territory. Like, cattlemen want their land for the cattle, and farmers and sheep ranchers want I don't know. They're just, fighting amongst each other. And so the ranchers were basically just, being shifty and hiring hitmen to kill anybody that, came onto their land to try to take their, basically.
That's wild.
Anybody that they decided was, making trouble for them, they had this hitman who was, by the way, he was known for his ability to shoot targets at 200 yards. So that's pretty far in the early or late 1800s. That's pretty good.
Yeah, with the guns that they had, yeah, it's pretty good.
So it's rumored, we don't know for sure, but it's rumored that he killed about 17 people as a ranch hitman guy, whatever you want to call it.
As a gun for hire for the ranch people.
That's what you call it. So remember the detail that I told you, that he is an alcoholic, and oftentimes he likes to tell tales, and it's going to get him into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the worst part of the story. So in mid-July 1901, a 14-year-old boy, Willie Nickel, who is the son of a Wyoming sheep rancher, is found dead outside of his house, his family home. And he had been shot twice by a long-range rifle. And there were no witnesses. There wasn't really evidence, but people were like, Tom Horn did it.
Yeah.
And some people thought that even maybe he had been hired to kill the boy's father, the farmer.
Yeah.
And mistook the boy for his dad. But basically it was a tragedy that this 14-year-old boy had died in this way, especially. So
that's hideous.
Yeah. U.S. Deputy Marshal Joe LaFours is put in charge of this case. So we have deputy marshals at this point.
Hell yeah, Joe, get him.
Yeah. And he's I know who did this. It was Tom Horn.
Case closed.
He has an absolutely terrible reputation. And he's I'm going to confront him. Or not even confront him. He's going to talk to him, basically. So he invites him over. He invites him to interview for a fake job in Montana. And Tom is apparently already drunk when he shows up and is drinking throughout the interview. And he confesses to killing this boy, 14-year-old Willie Nickel. Allegedly, he said, quote, "Killing men is my specialty," he said, proudly bragging that he had shot Willie from 13. Jesus, let me say it again. Quote, "Killing men is my specialty," he said proudly, bragging that he had shot Willie from 300 yards away. It was the best shot I ever made and the dirtiest trick I ever done.
Yeah, man, it was.
Unfortunately for him, he said this to a U.S. deputy marshal, so he was like immediately arrested.
Yeah, that's a one-way ticket to the big house.
And he, wouldn't you know it, he actually says, I need to retract my confession, actually, because, guys, I was just joshing you.
You don't josh about that.
You don't josh
Tom.
about that. Like, what?
Yeah, plus, it's real specific, Tom.
Extremely specific. So, of course, long story short, he goes to trial. He's convicted. It's like it's pretty obvious that he is not a good guy. He's a hitman. But
Killing's what he does.
But-
That's what he said.
however, there was a lot of testimony from credible witnesses that said that Tom wasn't even in the area when the crime would have been committed.
Tom, are
So
you innocent?
there were witnesses that said he couldn't have been there, but because of his reputation, he's convicted.
I mean, it's so boy who cried wolf on
Yeah,
himself.
Yep, it totally is.
That sucks. Like, if he did not shoot the 14-year-old boy, that really sucks.
Yeah, but I think he killed other people and was like proud of it.
So there you go.
So-
yeah, so, one trial really serves for them all, I guess.
Yeah. So he is hung in Cheyenne, Wyoming on November 20th, 1903. He does still have somewhat of a legacy today, more in Wyoming. Like, I'd never heard of him, but they're in August in Bozeler, Wyoming. Tom Horn Days are celebrated with concerts. This is a quote. Concerts, rodeo events, camping, Sunday morning cowboy church, and history presentations. What in the goddamn hell is cowboy church?
I do not know, but I want to know.
I really want
need to know. What is Cowboy Church? Is Cowboy Jesus present?
I don't know.
Is Cowboy Jesus in the room with us now?
I don't know.
I must
Unreal.
know about Cowboy Church. Yes.
It's in
Oh my
August, so
God.
we could go for your birthday.
Happy birthday, me,
Mhm.
31. Let's celebrate it at Cowboy Church.
Yeah,
Do you
let's-
think they'll let a Jew in?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It seems to be. I don't know if it's a religious thing or more just like a cowboy thing.
Is it a pancake breakfast?
God, I hope
Because
so.
that's what I want it to be.
So basically, he is still known as an infamous cowboy of the Old West. There's a quote from him that says, or I guess he said this before the trial. He didn't write this, but quote, "If I get killed now, I have the satisfaction of knowing I have lived about 15 ordinary lives."
Damn.
Yeah, I'll end on this because I think this is kind of weirdly, it's just like macabre, but interesting. While he was like waiting to be hung, he wrote an autobiography, and it's called Life of Tom Horn, Government Scout and Interpreter.
And murderer.
Yeah, and murderer.
And murderer. Let's not forget that part.
And so that's where a lot of details of his story come from. But yeah, I mean, can you imagine like writing your life story as you're waiting to die? It's just, it's scary.
It is macabre, but that's wild. What a man.
Yeah. I started reading about Tom Horn and I was like, yeah, I think I'd
Yeah,
like,
it's this.
Yeah, it's, this is real weird. I'm not saying that this was a light and fluffy one completely. There was some death. 14-year-old boy died, but
Child death is never light and fluffy. But I found that fascinating. I really think that like the lore of these like Old West characters and who they really were and how much of that is like cloaked within, personal myth making.
yeah.
And like just what people said about other people. I just think it's a very interesting time in American history. And there's a weird liminal space to the Old West where it felt like a lot of things happened under the eyes of, authority.
Sure. So yeah, that's Tom Horn, government scout turned hitman in the early 1900s.
possibly innocent of the child murder.
Possibly innocent of killing the child, yes. Which, yeah, I don't know. It's wild.
That was indeed buck wild,
Yeah.
and I have never heard of it before.
Me
Thank
neither.
you so much for bringing a bit of Old West history.
Yeah, why not? And Boneheads, we hope that you enjoyed a little bit of a lighter episode. If you have topics that you want us to cover, you can tell us on our website, which is anythingbonespodcast.squarespace.com. And you can email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.
Or direct message us on Instagram.
On Instagram, I put us on
Anything Bones
Threads
Podcast.
for some reason.
We're on Threads.
We're on Threads.
Thread us.
Yeah, Facebook. We love suggestions from Boneheads, so let us know if you have anything that you're dying to hear about. Pun intended, fully.
And tomorrow is Caitlin's birthday.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's creeping up.
Creeping up. You've only got a couple of hours left
know.
of being 30.
I know. 30 was a weird year, but I'm hoping 31 will be better. Even better.
Any insights to share from the year of 30?
Oh, good things come to those who wait.
Hell yeah. Patience will be rewarded.
Yes, yeah. And, it wasn't, I met Chris, so it was a pretty good year.
Yeah, I'd say.
All things considered, it was good. I'm sad that I'm ending it with COVID by myself, but it really could be a lot worse.
Yeah, but you're never by yourself.
I know, not really.
Yeah, you've got the kitty, you've got Chris, you can call.
This is the longest exit from the podcast ever.
Well, you know what? We like a long goodbye.
Oh, please.
Oh, God. Have a wonderful weekend, Boneheads. Take some time for yourself to be nice to yourself, because everyone deserves that.
Yeah. I got myself 2 desserts, one for Valentine's and one for birthday.
Hell yeah. You deserve like 7 desserts.
Go get some desserts, Boneheads. And as always,
Bone
voyage.
Unhinged throughout. All right. I'm stopping.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
At Chubby Scrubby on Twitter,
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
at Camilla Strader on Instagram.
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe.
Sorry, I took a rip at the wrong time.
No, that's okay. I've got you laughing a lot. I can put it in. I can make you laugh at my jokes.
That's true. You have that power.
I don't think I haven't before.
Hell yeah. The secret's out.
The secret's out. Sometimes she's not actually laughing. 99% of the time she is. But
That's
sometimes they flop.
But you can't let the people know that
Can't
until
let the people
today.
know that until today, but also you can't win them all. Nobody's perfect.